In this week's episode, we are going to look at something most people don't want to ever think about, and that is how would you feel if your plan for retirement was completely destroyed? If it was decimated in a market crash or some sort of a major event, how would you feel and what would you do? That's what we're going to look at today. Let's roll.
Welcome to the Safe Money Retirement Show with your host, certified financial fiduciary, Tim Wood. Tim is a retirement and income planning expert, best-selling author of Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success, member of the exclusive Ed Slott Master Elite IRA Advisor Group, and founder of SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Tim uses an education-first approach with clients nationwide to ensure they understand their choices in planning their own safe money retirement. Tim focuses on wealth management, retirement income, tax and long-term care planning, and asset protection and growth strategies. And now, from the Safe Money Retirement Studio in Johnson City, Tennessee, your host, Tim Wood.
So how would you feel if your plan that you have in place right now for your retirement, for income, for growth, for long-term care, for everything, how would you feel if it absolutely just got devastated, just decimated in a market crash or some sort of a political event or something completely outside your control, some sort of a governmental change? I mean, there's all kinds of things that could happen. What would you do and how would you feel? That's what we're going to discuss today. But first, if you don't already have a copy of my book, Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success, what are you waiting for? We will send you a copy absolutely free with no charge and no obligation so you can start planning your own retirement by knowing what's available out there. Just give us a call. It's toll free from anywhere in the United States, 1-800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233. Or just log on to our website at SafeMoneyRetirement.com and request your free copy right now. So just for a moment, I want you to put yourself in the frame of mind that something has happened in the future. There's some sort of an event, and the plan that you have in place doesn't work out. You've got a plan in place where, say, maybe you're just pulling out a certain percentage. It could be 2%, it could be 4%, which is the rule from a retirement account. It could be a lot of different things. But what are you going to do if that plan doesn't work out? How is that going to make you feel? How is that going to, what are you going to do? That's what I want you to think about right now, because a lot of people are living on if-come. And if-come, not income. Because if you are just living on pulling out a certain amount out of a retirement plan or pulling a certain amount out of, anything and praying to God that it keeps growing enough to fund your retirement throughout however long that's going to be, that's if-come. And that is just asking for the next major event to wipe out your retirement plan. So how's that going to make you feel if that happens? How's that going to make you feel to your kids, to your friends, to your family, to people you go to church with, to everybody? What kind of an example is that going to be? What is that going to make you? What are you going to do? What's going to be your plan if something major happens? And the plan that you've got in place, if you don't have a guaranteed income plan that you know is going to pay you X dollars for the rest of you or you and your spouse's life, and you are relying on market growth or some other type of thing and just praying to God that it keeps going, what are you going to do if that doesn't work out? You need to think about that. You need to make a plan. What are you going to do if that doesn't work out? Because if you keep taking money out of an account and it doesn't grow enough to offset what you take out, well, you'll be fine for a few years, right? I mean, that's fine. You can take out, 4% out of an account for quite a while. But after 10 years, 15 years, and you've pulled out 4% every single year, if it hasn't grown 4% every single year, which is a real possibility moving forward, what are you going to do? You need to make a plan for worst case scenarios in your retirement. And the worst case scenario should be you need to make sure that you've got enough guaranteed income to at least cover your basic expenses. Then we can totally get rid of you ever having to worry about the worst case scenario and your retirement being decimated. So let's just say you've got $500,000 saved for retirement, just a round number. Well, we can look and figure out how much of that 500 do we need to put in a guaranteed income plan that will absolutely 100% guaranteed to pay you and your spouse, if we set it up that way, depending on how we set it up, for the rest of your life, no matter how long you live. That is how you can get rid of having to worry about your retirement being completely decimated in the next thing that's going to happen, because something's going to happen. We all know something's going to happen. Over the rest of our lives, many somethings are going to happen, right? You need to make sure that you've got a plan. Make sure you've got a plan for what's going to come. And if you are absolutely putting all of your chips on the table, and at-risk accounts. You're saying, no, I'm going all in on the at-risk accounts, and that's going to just keep growing, and that's going to fund our retirement. Well, good luck to you, but you really need to then step back if that's what you're planning to do. What's going to be your plan? What are you going to do if that doesn't work out? What are you going to do if you run out of money? What are you going to do if you don't have enough to pay your bills by the time you're 75 or 80 or 85 or 90? Are you going to move in with that son-in-law you can't stand? Are you going to live as a ward of the state? I mean, what's the plan? Keep in mind that, there also needs to be a plan for long-term care. There is no part of Medicare that covers long-term care. None of it. There is no part of Medicare that covers long-term care. So if you ever get in a long-term care situation, it will absolutely eat up the retirement savings that you have, and you'll be out. That's it. If they're gone. And then you wind up becoming a ward of the state. It's happened in my family, so I know about it firsthand. But you need to take a moment today, right now, think about what is the worst case scenario for your plan. Now, if you're working with us, the worst case scenario is the very first thing that we work with every single client on is making sure you've got enough guaranteed income, not if-come. So if you're working with us, you know that even if all we do is we just get enough guaranteed income and you still play with the rest of the money, okay, fine. If you're playing with the rest of the money and the market goes south and you lose all of it, you've still got enough guaranteed income to live. That's what's important. That is how you can still go out and try to hit the next big stock or, play the S&P 500 or do whatever it is that you want to do. That's fine. But we need to make sure that you've got a plan for the worst case scenario. What is your emergency plan? What's going to happen to you if everything is at risk and you don't have a guaranteed income plan set up? You need to sit down and really think about what that plan is and what are you going to do and how is it going to make you feel and how is it going to make you look to your family and friends and coworkers and people at church and everything if you're, going under because you risked it all and now it's gone. Because you only get one chance in retirement, right? You've got to do this right the first time. That's why you need a certified financial fiduciary that specializes in retirement and in distribution of retirement funds and making sure that no matter what happens, that next event, whatever it is, isn't going to decimate your retirement. So again, just take a moment. Put yourself in the mind frame of 10, 15, 20 years from now, something major happens. It completely blows up the plan that you've got. What are you going to do? How are you going to feel? How are you going to look at your spouse? How are you going to talk to your kids? You need to think about these things and make a plan and make one you can count on.
Do you have a 401k, IRA, TSP, or any other type of retirement account you don't want to leave exposed to the risk of market loss? Have you moved on from a previous employer and have your retirement money just hanging out there in an old plan? You've worked too hard to leave your retirement nest egg to chance. We can help you roll over your retirement account from your past or current employer with no tax consequences and get you in a plan that guarantees you'll never lose another penny of your retirement due to a market crash while still providing market-like gains. Call us now about our current bonus options on your retirement money with a safe, fixed-indexed annuity. Imagine putting your money on an elevator that only goes up. It might stop on a few floors along the way when the market index goes down, but you won't go back to visit the lower floors. Our phone number is 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233. Call today and get your complimentary Safe Money Retirement Kit with all the details. There's no obligation, so call us now at 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233.
In today's case file, we are going to look at the story of George. Now, George is a single man. He had been divorced many years ago. I think he said like 15 or 20 years ago. So he's been single for a long time, was in his mid-60s, was just approaching retirement within the next year or two. And this relates directly back to what we just talked about in the main segment. He had all of his money, 100% of it, still at risk in the market. He read my book. He came in, we sat down, and essentially we looked over his entire plan. And like I said, 100% of his money, and he had a decent amount. He was mid six figures. He had a nice chunk, but 100% of it was at risk. So we had to look at, what are your expenses? How much do we need to know that we know that we know that you will get in guaranteed income no matter what happens? So what we did, and also I should add in, he was also quite concerned about Social Security possibly dropping. Not going away, but dropping, which they have said if it's not fixed, it's going to within the next 10 years. So I totally get where he's coming from there. So what we did, we didn't take all of his money. We still left some of it in his account as play money. That's fine. He can have play money. But what we did was we took what we had to. Basically, we figured out what his expenses are and how much he has in Social Security when he retires, because he still hadn't taken it yet. He was waiting until he retired. So when he retired, he was going to get X number of dollars in Social Security, but his expenses were this, which are higher than what his Social Security was. So we needed to make sure we had a guaranteed income to cover that income gap. And that's what we did. So we wound up taking out, it was a couple $100,000 and putting it into a guaranteed income plan that when he retires, now not only is he going to turn on Social Security, he's also going to turn on this income plan. And the two of them together will more than compensate what he needs in order to pay his bills. So that was the first thing that we did. Got that done. He was totally happy, good to go. He got back with me then a few months later and said, well, we really didn't address what's going to happen if Social Security crashes or goes down. So we actually put him into then a couple of smaller plans. He did $50,000 plans, got him a couple smaller $50,000 income plans that can just keep growing, because then he can turn those on in the future when either inflation goes up, Social Security goes down, or he just needs more money. And if he never turns them on, then they all go to his beneficiaries. So he is completely thrilled with his plan. He's still got some money he's playing with. He calls it his play money. And he's got what he knows he needs to protect. That's protected. So he is totally safe. He left here completely happy. Now, how does this relate to you? Let's say you're in that same situation. Let's say right now you still have all of your retirement savings 100% at risk. I understand doing that when you're younger. When you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe even somewhat in your 50s, you can do that because of your time horizon. You've got plenty of time to recoup if a major market event happens. But when you're in your later 50s, 60s, 70s, you absolutely cannot afford it. Y'all have heard me say this before. 30% drop in the market, you need a 42 to 43% gain just to get back to where you were. That's how the market always wins, people. So you need to make sure that you've got a plan for guaranteed income, not IFCOM, in retirement. So it could be the same thing for you. We're not saying necessarily we're going to take every single thing that you've got and put it in an income plan. Now, does that happen sometimes? Sure. Some people need that much income. If you don't, that's fine. That's why we need to sit down and do an individual fact finder, because every single person's case is different. Your case file is going to be different than his. So we need to sit down and look at what are your expenses? What are you going to get in Social Security? If your spouse is still there, what's she or he going to get in Social Security? Let's figure out if there's a gap. If there is, we need to get that covered when you retire. If you're already retired, if you've got a gap, we need to get that covered right now. And then we also might want to look at doing some of those smaller plans. I call them ladder plans in my book. You can read about it. Those smaller plans that just will keep growing, keep growing, keep growing. And at some point in the future, either to offset Social Security downturns, or they cut back on Social Security, or to offset inflation or whatever, offset medical costs, you can turn them on in the future, but they just keep growing and keep growing and keep growing. The point being, you need to make sure that you have a plan for guaranteed income to make sure you can have a safe money retirement. Well, I'm about out of time, and I would like to thank you for listening to the Safe Money Retirement Show. If you're serious about your financial future, give me a call, and together we'll get your retirement savings on the fast track to accumulate while reducing exposure to market loss. Thanks for listening, and until next time at the same time, I'm Tim Wood reminding you to stay safe so you can step into a secure future.
You've been listening to the Safe Money Retirement Show with your host, Tim Wood. Find out how to contractually guarantee that your income in retirement is guaranteed lifetime income and not if-come. Avoid any future market losses, plan for the potential of long-term care, and make wise planning choices so you can have the retirement that you deserve. Call us now for your free copy of Tim's best-selling book, Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success. Our toll-free number is 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233. Or log on to our site at safemoneyretirement.com for more information or to request your free book. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you online at safemoneyretirement.com. The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Obviously, by contacting us now, you are only taking the first step toward protecting your retirement. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified licensed insurance professional. It's important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Interest and other guarantees in annuity contracts are subject to the claims-paying ability of the insurance carrier that issued the contract. The tax consequences of annuity income should be considered with the help of a licensed tax professional. Rates and returns mentioned on this program may vary based on state availability and are subject to change without notice.